Hey, Mr. Snay here. Today we are going to be talking about inequalities. Inequalities scare the crap out of people, so I want to really help you out with these today. And if you're kind of wondering what the heck inequality is again, let me remind you. Inequalities are these symbols here, okay? And that's about it. So whenever you don't see this, which means equal to, you have what's called the inequalities or non-equal to's, okay? Those are just the symbols that represent that, okay? Now the one thing that people run into a problem with is they forget like which one is which. For example, like is this one less than or equal, or is this less than, or is this greater than, or which one's this? And it just really confuses people. So I want to show you the way that I remember this, okay? And the way I remember this is I think of a number line, okay? And what I do is I think, for example, let's just say I'm at this part in the number line, okay? So I'm at point A and I want to go to point B. To do that, I'm going to have to move left, okay? So I have to go in this direction. When you move left on a number line, I want you to think to yourself, what happens to numbers? Do they get bigger or smaller? They get smaller, okay? So when you move left on a number line, numbers get smaller, okay? So if you'll notice that both of these arrows here, what they have in common is that they're both pointing to the left, okay? Another word for smaller, because when we move left on a number line, things get smaller, is the word less, okay? So whenever we see a symbol like this, which looks like an arrow pointing to the left, really what I'm trying to tell you is less or less than, okay? That is just the less than symbol. Now, another way we remember this, or another way that people remember this is this is pointing to the left, correct? The word left itself starts with the letter L, and less than, well, L, boom, there's the connection. So some people remember it this way, okay, which means that obviously the opposite or the converse must be true, that any arrows pointing to the right must mean bigger than or greater than, okay? So if I'm moving this way on the number line, my numbers are getting bigger, therefore any arrows pointing to the right, let me get my handy dandy, my favorite thing in the world, my eraser, and erase that, and then yeah, so a symbol that looks like this or an arrow pointing to the right would just be greater than, okay? So that is the difference between the two. Obviously, if we add a little line below it, pretty much all that means is it changes it from just a less than to a less than or equal to. And instead of just a greater than, it's a greater than or equal to, okay? So that's how I remember the difference between a less than or less and then greater than greater or more, okay? It's just the direction of the arrow or of the symbol, okay? So let's try a couple problems to see kind of what people are going to ask you for, especially like just the basic inequalities, okay? One of the first things people might ask you to do is to just fill in the blank. So say, for example, I have the number -4 and the number -10, okay? And then I put a blank here in the middle. And I ask you to fill in the blank. What would make this statement true is what they would ask you, okay? So let's say -4 and -10. Well, is -4 greater than -10? Is it less than -10? Is it greater than or equal to -10? Well, it's not equal to, because -4 is definitely not equal to -10, so we can wipe those out. But is -4 to the right of -10? Is it to the left of -10? And that's kind of how I think of these problems, okay? So -4 technically comes to the right of -10, so therefore it's greater than it. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the greater than symbol there to pretty much say that, hey, -4 is greater than -10 because it is to the right of -10, okay? Notice how I am looking at this from left to right when I'm doing this, okay? I don't go backwards. I don't say -10 and compare it to -4. I always go -4 is blah to -10. Let's just do something easier that doesn't involve negatives. 5 and 3. So 5, when I put a little fill in the blank thing here, 5 is what to 3? Is it less than 3? Is it greater than 3? Well, 5 comes after 3, correct? It's to the right of 3. So again, I can go ahead and say 5 is greater than 3. And I can do these all day for you, okay? And in fact, I have a worksheet below that you can try a lot of these out on your own, okay? When you're done with these and kind of getting bored with them, there's another couple types of problems that they'll ask you to do. For example, they'll give you one or a statement, and they'll just ask you if this is true or not. For example, they'll give you a problem like 5 times 2 minus 4 less than equal to 7. And they'll ask you, is this statement true? What you're going to have to do is use, first of all, order of operations to kind of narrow down the left side, and then just compare it to the 7 and see if it is, in fact, less than or equal to 7, and see if that statement's true. So 5 times 2 is 10 minus 4, and then we can just rewrite this, showing all my work. 10 minus 4 is 6, less than equal to 7. So you have to ask yourself, is 6 less than or equal to 7? And the answer is yes. Let's just try one more real quick before we leave today. Let's do some parentheses here. 10 minus 3 times 2 is greater than or equal to 25. Okay, is this statement true? So let's go ahead and do order of operations on the left, and let's narrow this down a little bit. So 10 minus 3, we do the parentheses first, is just 7. 7 times 2, greater than or equal to 25. Well, what is 7 times 2? Well, that is just 14, greater than or equal to 25. Now you should notice something kind of fishy about this, because 14, number one, is not to the right of 25. It's not greater than 25. So this can't be true, okay? 14 is not equal to 25, and is not greater than 25, so therefore this statement is false, okay? Where the first statement was true, this statement definitely is false. So those are the different types of problems, at least the bare minimum basic inequality problems that textbooks and test problems might have you do. But for the most part, I want you to really remember today is just the difference between a greater than symbol and a less than symbol. And remember the number line and how those arrows kind of give you hints. Ooh, email. Fun. I got to stop looking at my emails while I'm doing these videos. But just which way the direction of those arrows look or move, and that'll tell you which one is less than or which one's greater than. Okay? So, have a wonderful day. I will see you later. Bye.